we're going to be drinking a little bit. So come along for the ride.
I'm trying so hard.
Ashley's going to pour a drink right now. Yum.
It's so satisfying.
Then you gotta take a drink.
That's not satisfying, though. To hear a gulp. I don't want to, like, spit all over.
This is the greatest thing that's happened all day. This is great.
There we go.
I
hope you're ready.
I didn't need you to stop whispering.
horrors.
What did we talk about last time? Okay, we'll stop.
What did we talk about last time?
Oh, I was into this.
I literally cannot contain myself.
What's everyone drinking on, real quick?
Got a mango White Claw.
I don't know. I'm just gonna call it a poor man's amaretto sour.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got some Jim Beam bourbon and some lime sparkling water.
Ooh, is the lime good with the bourbon?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not bad. Sounds like it might be weird, but it works well together. We decided to have a little drink before getting started.
We needed some energy
Yes.
in the room. Like, not that drinking's giving us energy, but we needed to liven it up.
Yes. And next time we will sage the place.
And meditate first.
And Rich will walk in and be like, why does the studio smell like lavender and sage and Palo Santo and incense and everything else?
And sweetgrass.
Yeah.
And liquor.
And liquor.
And liquor. Don't worry about us.
I am not a bartender, and I definitely spilled. That's okay.
Rich spills on every episode of A Beer with Atlas, so I think he's still beating you by, like, I don't know, 99,000.
I was going to say 100 million.
We'll try and catch up.
All right. What did we talk about last time?
Should we do intros first?
Oh, yeah. We forgot. We forgot about that.
Intros. I'll go first. Hello, I'm Ashley, a brand specialist.
I'm Alicia, your veteran recruiter.
And I'm Dolan on the knobs.
On the knobs.
Pew, 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 for Atlas Med staff.
Is that
And
where
this
we're
is
at?
another episode of Healthcare Horrors.
Yes, it is. Last time, we can get to this now. Last time, we talked about Elizabeth Wettlaufer, a visionary killer. What's so funny?
The Wettlaufer. Her name. We're just immature.
She was a visionary killer who heard a voice in her head that she believed was God telling her to kill her patients. The end.
Perfect.
Still being weird. Keep this energy up.
Keep this energy forever going forward.
Alrighty. So who are we talking about today?
We're talking about a wonderful man. Probably not so wonderful.
They're
named
all wonderful.
Michael Swango. Joseph Michael Swango was born October 21st in 1954 in Tacoma, Washington. As usual, his zodiac sign he was a Libra. Libras are indecisive, superficial, and detached. We'll see if any of that comes into play. So Michael Swango's early life, he was raised in Quincy, Illinois. He was the middle child of Muriel and John Virgil Swango. Michael's father was a career United States Army officer who served in the Vietnam War, and he was listed in Who's Who in Government, 1972 to 1973. John Virgil Swango was also an alcoholic. I feel like we see that a lot in...
It's a recurring thing for sure.
Upon John's return from Vietnam, he became depressed, and then Muriel divorced him. So growing up, Michael didn't see very much of his father, and as a result of that was much closer to his mother. Michael graduated as the valedictorian of his 1972 class of Quincy Catholic Boys High School. He played the clarinet and was a member of the Quincy Notre Dame Band. Although he attended Catholic school, he was not Catholic. He was raised Presbyterian. Michael also served in the Marine Corps. He received an honorable, words are hard, discharge in 1980. That's when he then went to college, and then later, so he went to Quincy University and then later the Southern Illinois University School of Medicine. So Swango's troubles were first noticed during his time at Southern Illinois University. I like how they call it his troubles, like his murdering tendencies. Mm-hmm. So although he was a super good, bright and brilliant student, he graduated summa cum laude from Quincy College.
Good job at pronouncing that.
I know, I can't say honorable, but I can say summa cum laude.
Because I saw that and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to say that. Glad you did.
I got you, girl. Woo. So, and he also won the American Chemical Society Award, but he was known for being lazy, preferring to work as an ambulance attendant rather than to concentrate on his studies. So even at a young age, though, he had a noticeable fascination with dying patients. No one thought much of it at the time, but many patients, which Michael Swango was assigned during his residency, he was assigned to do checkups on them, but they ended up coding and suffering life-threatening emergencies. So that's a problem. But his lackadaisical approach to his studies caught up with him only a month before he was due to graduate, when he was caught faking checkups during his obstetrics and gynecology rotation.
Don't be lazy. Don't just cut corners on those checkups.
Also, yeah, like, of course you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
So many of his fellow students had suspected that he had been faking checkups as early as his second year, but you can't really do anything on hearsay, and I don't think anyone really cared. So he only survived, I don't like why I say survived, he only continued in his studies when one member of the committee voted to give him a second chance. At the time, a unanimous vote was required to dismiss a student. But there were serious concerns about his competence. Eventually, the school did let him graduate after a year after the rest of his class, on the condition that he repeat the obstetrics and gynecology rotation and complete a bunch of other assignments in other specialties. So they made him do a bunch of extra work because he wasn't doing work in the first place. Mm-hmm. So despite a very poor evaluation in his dean's letter from Southern Illinois University, Michael Swango got a surgical internship at Ohio State University Medical Center in 1983, to be followed by a residency in neurosurgery. This reminds me of, what's the one we just did in Omaha?
Oh,
Anthony
Garcia. So many chances.
Yeah, Michael Swango had a lot going for him, because he was like such a smarty pants in school and like graduating at the top of his classes and all this stuff. And then it's like a switch just flipped. Well, he was lazy, but then like out of nowhere, he got really into just wearing military clothes. He painted his car green. He like collected newspaper articles and photos of like car crashes, airplane crashes, riots, arson, murder, just and military stuff, just a bunch of kind of weird stuff to collect. And then after his dad died, it turns out his dad also had a collection like this, which is interesting.
Maybe like that kind of sounds like schizophrenic behavior, like the paranoia, like maybe, trying to connect the dots, or like conspiracy theory type stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't put it past him to be into conspiracy theories.
You never know.
You never know. So yeah, he starts his internship at Ohio State, and his residency in the neurosurgery department. It didn't take long for his fellow interns and the doctor overseeing Michael to notice weird behavior, such as an uncaring manner with the patients, and he often talked about genocide and war. In January 1984, he nearly kills a patient, Ruth Barrick. The attending nurse, Deborah Kennedy, thought that it was odd that an intern was there checking her IV line, but she left. When she returned to Ruth's room, Swango was gone and Ruth Barrick was struggling to breathe, and she was rushed to the ICU. The physicians were puzzled. And then on February 6, 1984, we return to Ruth Barrick, and Swango does kill her. She dies from respiratory failure. And then there's also Carolyn Beery. She was also killed from respiratory failure and resuscitated. The nurses in the ward noticed the concerning amount of patients falling into this pattern whenever Michael was around. So they took matters to the assistant director of nursing and the neurosurgery professor, which did lead to an investigation. So that's good, at least. Something's kind of being done, kind of, sort of. Swango was cleared of any wrongdoing and just simply moved to another ward to continue his internship.
So not a super thorough investigation, it would seem.
Yeah, they tried. But maybe they didn't
try?
really have... Maybe they didn't have the proof, though. You know, but
you're right.
They noticed the pattern. So soon after, Charlotte Warner, age 72, she was recovering from surgery. She was doing well, and then she suddenly dies from blood clots in several organs. And of course, Swango was lurking around. He's lurking. After a few more incidents like this, the OSU Review Board decided Michael Swango did not have a future at their hospital due to poor performance and no other suspicions. Just poor performance. So after being rejected from that school or that hospital, Michael returns to Quincy, Illinois, and begins as a paramedic with Adams County Ambulance Corporation. He was almost overqualified to be a part of an ambulance team, but just because of all of his medical training and stuff, so they were super ecstatic to have him. But his colleagues soon discovered his really dark sense of humor. And okay, I'm going to read something from the book.
Sure.
Medical Monsters.
While you find that, I think that it's a red flag when someone's completely overqualified for a position and they want to work in that position, like especially in the medical field. Like there's definitely got to be an underlying motivator there.
Yeah, you went to school to be a doctor, and why didn't you get to become a doctor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the part from the book was... Picture a school bus crammed with kids smashing head on with a trailer truck loaded down with gasoline. We're summoned. We get there in a jiffy, just as another gasoline truck rams the bus. Up in flames it goes. Kids are hurled through the air, everywhere, on telephone poles on the street, especially along on old barbed wire fence along the road, all burning. That was described as an ultimate fantasy of Michael Swango. I don't know why I keep saying his full name. I think I just like saying Swango. But yeah, so to put in perspective his sick sense of humor and what's going on in his head.
That is not a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But yeah, jeez. That's tough.
Yeah. So one thing that he and his colleagues would always do is nice things like bring donuts into the office and everything. This is another like kind of crazy incident. So it was Michael's turn to bring donuts into the office. And when he did, everybody in the office got sick. They were nauseous, vomiting, they were dizzy, everyone except for Michael. Also at a routine emergency detail for a high school football game, Michael bought his colleague a soda, and he made his colleague violently ill, or his colleague got violently ill from drinking this. So there's a whole bunch of red flags popping up, and the fellow paramedics knew something was up, and they decided to take matters into their own hands, and they needed proof to, like, I don't know, show that Michael was doing something. So I'm going to go back to the book really quick because I didn't want to write all this stuff down. So Swango was out on a call and his colleagues opened his locker. Inside, they found a box of arsenic-based ant poison, so they decided to set a trap. A pot of iced tea was brewed and left on the counter where they knew Swango would have access to it. Once Swango went out, they poured the liquid from the pot into another container and brought it to the local coroner, who sent it to the FBI lab for testing. Results indicated traces of arsenic. Swango was promptly arrested and charged with 7 counts of aggravated battery.
Nice.
So, yeah, good for them for being sneaky and testing the tea. So,
Also, he was too easy to trap. All you had to do is leave out a pot of tea.
Yeah. He was...
He walked right into that.
Yeah. So he went to trial April 1985. He was found guilty and was supposed to serve 5 years in Centralia Correctional Center. And there was also an interview on 2020 about this incident, which will come back to bite him in the butt later. He didn't serve, I don't think he served his full 5-year sentence, though. He was released August 1987, and he decided to move to Newport News, Virginia. He couldn't get a medical license, so he worked a few different jobs where coworkers mysteriously fell ill all the time. He continued to send applications to different medical facilities all over and finally landed an interview with a doctor from the University of South Dakota in Sioux Falls. This doctor, during the interview, did bring up the recent convictions, but Michael Swangoed his way out of it. Yes.
You're fired.
Okay. I had to.
She's been waiting and waiting.
I think he told the doctor that he went to jail for like a bar fight, or there was like miscommunication in a bar fight or something like that. So in March 1992, he was offered a job, and he also proposed to a girlfriend, Kristen Kinney, and they moved to South Dakota together.
Before all that, he ended up working as a counselor for the state at the State Career Development Center.
Yeah, which is interesting.
How do you get a job with the state at that point? You
After
know,
being in prison, yeah, or jail, whatever.
for poisoning your coworkers.
Yeah. He Swangoed his way out. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
I'm gonna leave.
No, that is a really good point. Good point. So now he's at Royal C. Johnson Veterans Memorial Hospital. And Kristen, who's also in the healthcare industry, I'm assuming a nurse, she's at the VA hospital. Swango tried applying for an American Medical Association membership, but...
It was a mistake.
Yes, because this gets him caught.
Your eyes got so big.
Yes. As they checked his credentials, they discovered the story of the previous conviction. So they actually did research. And they discovered the 2020 interview where he's talking about poisoning all of his colleagues at the ambulance place.
What a dum-dum.
Yeah. So he lost his job. Go figure. There's a huge media storm. Once Kristen hears about all of this, she, rightfully so, gets nervous that he would poison her, and she had been experiencing weird headaches, so she leaves him. Sadly, the stress of this situation does lead to her committing suicide, but Michael moves on, and he somehow obtains a medical position at the University of New York, Stony Brook Medical School. And then he is assigned to the Veterans Administration in Long Island. How? How does this happen?
Because the the internet wasn't what it is today, so doing background checks and stuff is just too hard, too much work probably. It probably takes like 6 months to get a reply.
Too hard. Okay, so at the Veterans Administration, the patients Dominic Buffalino, Aldo Sereni, Thomas Samarco, and George Ciano are all patients who either died or became ill while Michael was around. Also Baron Harris, I forgot to mention that one. So Kristen's parents and friends caught wind of Michael's new position and they wanted to shut him down. So they contacted the dean of Stony Brook and he was quickly terminated. They filled Stony Brook in on everything.
And then, Swango admitted to it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, I mean, at that point, like, you just keep up the lie. There's no proof, right? Except for the arsenic. That's the only proof so far.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't leave your poison and your murder weapons, like, in your locker at work. Anyway. Are we going back to the ASMR thing?
Welcome to Healthcare Wars. Today, we're talking about Michael Swango.
Do you like our sounds?
Okay, where am I? Oh, gosh. Okay.
We're talking about what his family does.
Yeah,
Her family.
Yes, Kristen's family gets Michael fired. There's another media storm. There's an investigation launched, and the FBI. He is under FBI surveillance, and he's kind of jumping around, trying to stay hidden. And Michael ends up fleeing the country to Zimbabwe in Africa, where he begins working. Do you look like you want to say something? Anything?
Well, I was just going to say, like, go Kristen's family, because basically what ended up happening was that Cohen and Miller, the guys who hired Michael Swango at Stony Brook, well, they were eventually fired. But before they were fired, what ended up happening was they sent out a warning to all 125 medical schools and all 1,000 teaching hospitals across the United States, which effectively blackballed Michael Swango from ever getting any sort of medical residency in the United States, which I'm like, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, good for them. Did they get fired just for not, doing research on him before hiring him,
it kind of seems like they just... If you're doing the hiring and this is the guy you hire, like, that's kind of your fault too.
No second chances for you, at least not here.
Because you should have known better.
Yes. So while we're in Zimbabwe, Michael is working at the Lutheran Mission Hospital in the village of Neen. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that.
It's either mean or neen.
Yeah.
Or minine.
Mnene. Soon enough, Rhoda Mahala Mavana, Katso Shava, Philemon Chipoko.
I don't have that name in front of me, so yeah, you're doing great.
Virginia Sibanda.
This is all one name.
No.
I thought this was all one
These
name.
are multiple people.
Man, I thought we went from John Jingleheimer, Michael Swango to... Okay.
No.
The way you said that, I really thought that
I thought it was all one name. Yeah.
No, different people, and I'm not going to start over and try them again. So I'm just going to keep going where I left off.
Perfect.
But this name is easier. Margaret Zhao. So how many people was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people.
Tolan and I don't know.
5 people, not one.
Okay.
They all die or nearly died while they are in Michael's care. Virginia was giving birth, and she either almost died or was killed. I don't remember. So the nuns at this facility have had enough. They've noticed a lot of weird things happening. So they approached the hospital director and they called the police. Michael's home was searched, where they found drugs, medical equipment, and so much evidence against him that he fled once again. After hiding out in Europe, he returned to the U.S. and he was arrested in the Chicago airport in June 1997.
Also, apparently, he applied for a job at the Royal Hospital in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, wow.
Like, you can poison people without being a doctor, you know? Like, because this is the stuff that gets you caught. I mean, ultimately it is a good thing that it gets caught, but I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah. So he is awaiting trial in New York as the FBI builds a case against him and collect all the evidence and everything. He's charged with multiple murders, and Swango does come clean. He spends life in prison with the possibility of death, and he may have committed over 60 murders. We don't know for sure how many murders exactly. Yeah, and one thing, just while I was reading about him, like, he didn't go for a specific type of patient. Like, it wasn't all old people, or it wasn't all women, and he didn't have, like, a specific method every time. It was just different people and different methods. And, yeah, what do you got on him? Anything else? Anything about the trial? I don't have any super specific things about the trial.
I probably have some stuff. Let's see. So, at his sentencing hearing, the prosecutors read, apparently he was keeping a notebook. So they read passages from his notebook, and the passages were basically him describing the joy he felt during his crimes, which is just so...
He kept a murder journal.
Yes, he did. And
just like you.
Yay! Just like yours,
wait,
right
what?
here. The one in front of you. And then, yeah, like, he didn't have, like, a specific method of murder. So with non-patients, like his coworkers and, like, at the paramedic service, poison, like arsenic, and he put it in food and beverages with patients. Sometimes it was poison. Sometimes he overdosed them on a drug that they were already being prescribed, or he would prescribe them a drug that they didn't need. So, like, basically he was just out to do the most harm.
Yeah.
The complete opposite of what his oath as a medical professional teaches him to do.
Gosh. When you were talking about a murder journal and how he had journal entries, this reminded me of something else I had written down. So he did have a friend long ago, even though he was a bit of a weirdo. This friend, like, asked him about all of the weird newspaper clippings and stuff he had of war and I don't know, accidents and stuff. And Mike's reply to his friend was, "If I'm ever accused of murder, this will prove that I'm mentally unstable."
Wow.
Good point. Also, maybe your murders prove that you're mentally unstable.
There's that.
Which just tells you, like, all of this is, like, really well thought out by him, because...
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I think he wanted to get caught, and I think that's the thing with, like, doing the 2020 interview. Like, he's kind of gloating, like, he's got a stage.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, just admitting it to people when it's brought to his attention. Like, he doesn't even try to lie. He's just like, nope, yep, that was me. Like, he's proud. Obviously, with his journal.
You said, so bringing this back around to his zodiac and stuff, you said he was a Libra. Did you?
So they're known for being indecisive, detached, and I believe
He was definitely detached, obviously.
superficial. Definitely detached.
Yeah.
Unhinged.
All right. Yeah, that's all I got on Swango. Pretty nutso. I'm gonna stop. I didn't plan that one.
And that is enough bourbon for you. You're cut off. She's had 2 sips.
Who are we talking about in 2 weeks?
H.H. Holmes. We're gonna whisper again.
H.H. who?
Holmes.
H.H. Holmes. He was one of the first recorded or first claimed serial killers in America in the late 1800s. So he's a fun one for all of you.
Define fun.
Well,
Fun to learn.
To learn about. There's a lot of information.
Yeah, defining fun as in any true crime fans that are like fans of Ted Bundy and all those guys. Fun. I'm gonna
Just teasing you. Oh, were they not fungo?
so bad. Everyone's probably so irritated, like, I'm
And that's a
turning
wrap.
this shit off. That's a wrap. Don't do anything that Michael Swango would do. Stay tuned, and we are going to talk about H.H. Holmes next. Cut me off. Bam.
That's a wrap.
Murder.
Murder.
Thank you for listening to Healthcare Horrors, brought to you by Atlas MedStaff. Just a reminder, we are not healthcare professionals. We are just fans of true crime, talking about some of history's darkest moments in healthcare. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and stay safe.